This most festive evening. Piss and rain here. Not a lot to get to tonight. And I'll tell you why, a lot of frustration out there. And it's interesting doing the business that I've done for a while. I get frustrated at times. I talk about the fact that we're the exhausted majority. If you listen to my show for any number of years, and I've been doing this for a bit, we are the freaking exhausted majority. Let's be honest about this. We are the ones who look at facts and data. We don't live in a cultish like world, which is for a lot of people out there in today's world. Everybody's trying to live in a freaking tribe. Don't do that. It's fucking unhealthy. I just want to tell you guys that right now. It's not healthy at all. And you can't have a conversation with anybody. And I learned that more and more every single day that, I do this job is there's more of us out there, but we're not as loud as we should be. And we need to be loud, and we need to be louder, and we need to take back common sense from people who would use certain things to gin up people in such a way and to get them to flip and to flop and the whole 9 yards. Like I'm watching, all these people who, when the market was down and it was Biden, are losing their mind saying, you guys are losing everything. And when the market's down with Trump, it's like, oh, don't care about that. You're going to be in it for a while. Everybody's selling you some shit. That's what they're selling you. They're selling you crap. They're not selling you reality. They're not selling you a conversation. Don't believe me, brother. I always tell everybody, don't believe me. I'm going to give you the facts, the data. I'm going to give you my opinion. And you go out and do your own research about things. Now, if we're talking about the Masters and I think, hey, you know what? I like Scotty's chances again there. Yeah, you can believe me on that, right? Like, he's a pretty damn good player. But if we're talking about, like, the nuance of what has become this world of tribalism and politics, do your own research. I tell everybody, do your own research. It's good. Take the thing that you believe, that you hold strongly in your heart. This is what I believe. And you go out and go, all right, what's the reality of this? Juxtapose your position against somebody else's. Put yourself in somebody else's position and think, all right, well, what's it really like? Am I getting the whole truth? Am I getting the partial truth? Is this real? Am I getting, smoke blown? And people are afraid to do that. Nobody ever wants to challenge their beliefs. And it's a sad, sad thing. Because we should be. We should absolutely be doing that. We should absolutely be having a conversation about things that are real without it getting to the point where it becomes tribal and nobody wants to hear anybody else's side because their side's full of lies. Every side's full of BS, right? This is the way I look at politics. Modern politics is this. And when it comes especially to news, I'm going to give you the score of my team. And then somebody's going to go, well, what did the other team score? And you're like, we scored 7. Yeah, but what did the other team score? We scored 7. Yeah, but what did the other team score? We scored 7. They may have scored 3 or they may have scored 50. You don't know because nobody's telling you. And we've got to take back the conversation in this country. It has to happen. It absolutely does. Like tomorrow on my show, I know what several things I'm going to talk about. One of them is the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court ruled a little while ago, and you got to remember there was a guy who, was gone. His family's like, where the hell is he? So the Trump administration must work to bring back mistakenly deported Maryland men. Now, there are several people out there that have been, their families say, hey, this guy had nothing to do with it. He was mistaken. It was tattoos. It was all of those things that, you've heard people say. But it is interesting when you go and you read through this, because, again, you have to try to figure out what's right, what's real, what's not, and which guy's which, because is this the soccer player? No, this isn't the soccer player. Is this, for lack of a better term, is this the gay hairdresser? No, this isn't him. This guy's named Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's a citizen of El Salvador who had an immigration court order preventing him from deportation. Now, where I'll tell my friends on the left is, hey, Trump has won a vast majority of the cases that have gone to Supreme Court. I think right now, this would make him 7 for 9. something like that, maybe 7 for 10. But here's a perfect example of tomorrow when I talk about this on the radio. I will get 50 people go, who cares? He's illegal. Get him the hell out of here. Well, they should have due process. Shouldn't you, want to, cut twice? I mean, cut twice? Cut a third time? Cut four? No. Measure twice. Measure a third time. Cut once. But he's got tattoos. That argument is the most insane argument. I'll tell you why. Because they showed a bunch of tattoos the other day on that they're choosing from. That, like, these are the tattoos. I have one of those tattoos. So I said, in theory, they could get me. In theory. But one of the things that, they talk about is the administration has conceded that it made a mistake in sending him to El Salvador, but argue, hey, we can't do anything about it. Really? You can't do a thing about it? You could make a phone call and go, hey, yeah, we kind of jacked the pooch. Is there any way you can get that guy back here? No, because you don't want to say you're wrong. You don't want to do that. So you admit you made a mistake, and you still don't want to go and try to fix it. That's what you should do. But because politics, we don't get a real, because you don't want to look weak, right? Well, I can't look weak. It's like people who are in jail for marijuana, selling marijuana for 15 years ago. It's the dumbest thing in the world. It's ridiculous. Our jails were littered with them. People that, they didn't, but our government will never say sorry. They're like Fonzie. They'll never say it. We've got to take this country back, and it has to be done. And it's through common sense. And when the loud get loud, just go, you got nothing to say. It's time for you to be quiet. It's time for you to be quiet. You just enough of the tribalism, enough of the bullshit. Whatever happened, you want to be real and punk rock and independent? I always tell everybody, be an independent thinker. There are a lot of things I like that Trump does. There's some stuff I don't like. That should be that way always. Because if you like everything that somebody does, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get a cult. We don't want a cult. But we've got too much cultish behavior in politics. And it's got to stop. See everybody chiming in. Hey, Becky, what's going on? This is Jones Jacks. Big Red, how you doing? It's saying sorry, saying we screwed up, saying we jacked the pooch. That's what separates us from all the other crap out there, all the other countries out there, all the other things. We screwed up, got to bring this guy home. And you know what? Give him his due process. If he is a gang member and you could prove it, great. If he's not, you made a mistake and we move on with it. We've got to do better. We do. But you're never going to get real conversation. You're never going to get real, honest thoughts from people who play politics all day and appeal to only the loudest noise out there. And our silence should be deafening in some cases, because we're the ones who are sitting back going, all right, well, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. We're going to vote for somebody else. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So we're going to have to be louder. We're going to have to get out there. Big Red said, you try all the time, big man, but you get shut down when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody. Yeah, because people on the left, they don't want to hear it. People on the right, it's like today, I'm doing my show and passing a bill out here. The bill still has to go through the House. And what would the bill be? Well, the bill would be essentially a bill that will go to the Supreme Court challenging whether or not kids who came here illegally with their families shouldn't be allowed to go to school unless they go to private school or pay for it. And I'm thinking, no, that's not who we are. It's not what we're about. Let's not punish the kids. Let's not. But the minute you say it, you get 100 text message calls. You're an idiot. You're horrible. You hate America. And you're like, you can't have a real conversation with people who are that loud. Because you know what's funny is I know for every one of those, there are 10 people out there that won't say anything, but go, yeah, those kids shouldn't be out of school. Right? I mean, this is a ridiculous fight. Who's that fight for? Was somebody asking for that? And yes, we have a real problem in this country where we have too many kids who have come here with their families who are having to go into school. They do not speak any English, and it is tough for our teachers. We can figure out a way. It can be done. It can be done. I used to laugh when people say, we put a man on the moon. Yeah, we put a man on the moon in 1969. We're past that now. We should be able to do a lot of things that we don't do. But this should piss all of you off that watch this, that listen to me. We've got to be stronger. We've got to push people to do better. And we've got to try to break the cycle of insanity where the politics just becomes so ridiculous that you can't have a conversation with people. People ask me all the time, I'm out here in Nashville. It's gorgeous. People are amazing. But being in this business, I get from all over the country. I'll say, yeah, I've got friends who are gay. And I've got friends who, that means, so what? It's a shock. Or it's so bizarre. Sometimes I sit back and go, what? You don't? You don't have liberal friends? You don't have conservative friends? How do you not? Some of my best friends in the world are polar opposites of each other, and they're friends. Because we've allowed our identity to be wrapped up in insane-ass politics to the point where if something that we don't hear, that we like, that we're like, and it's not the affirmation, it becomes it's personal. We got to stop that. We got to stop taking stuff so personal. We do. We've got to do better. And that's why, start next week, we're going to be the exhaustive majority. We're going to raise an army, and we're going to take back conversations, and we're going to get out there, and we're going to stop turning politics into reality television and just turn it into reality and try to get the conversation back to a world where we can talk, we can do what's best for America, and that's what we need to do. That's what we absolutely need to do. And we've got to be strong because remember, who got Trump over the line? It wasn't the people that were already going to vote for him. It was the people that have voted other directions in another way. The exhaustive majority. Some of us leaned a little left, leaned a little right. We're 75, 80% of the country. We have far more power that we don't use, and we need to use our voice. And our voice is our vote. It's our money. We need to hold people accountable, and we need to be fair. Damn Skippy, we should. That's all I got for tonight. I got to go do another interview. I'm doing so many damn interviews. But got another interview tonight. We're going to talk tariffs tomorrow. Buddy, Zach Abraham, he's a big investment guy. Dude's awesome. We're going to talk a lot of tariffs because he gets tariffs. But the big question, and he and I were chatting a little bit earlier today, is what's the end game when it comes to China? I don't know. Is there an end game? What's it look like? You put tariffs on them. Okay. So now what? Because it's to get them to lift their tariffs and our tariffs, so we don't have tariffs, but it's trade, but still they're going to be able to make stuff a lot cheaper. We're still going to buy a lot of stuff from them. So what is going to be the end game? I think, like a lot of things, we get into stuff. America, we're great at that. Never sure what the end game's actually going to be. And so we're going to have a big discussion about that tomorrow. Join us, 6 to 9 Pacific, 9 to noon on the East Coast. Grab the podcast, chadbensonshow.com. You guys have an ass-kicking night. Be safe out there, especially if the weather's pretty ugly. And we'll do it again.